Welcome back to another episode of The Blueprint. I'm your host, Calvin Custance. On The Blueprint, we interview talented athletes and they share knowledge that they've collected over their time playing their sport. From balancing life and relationships to recruiting and training, there is always something you can learn. This week's guest is Keon Nixon. Keon is a very talented athlete and has a very interesting story. He recently graduated from Dakota High School and is signed on to play football at Northern Michigan. Welcome to the show, Keon. Thank you for coming on The Blueprint, Keon.
Of course. Happy to be here, man.
So if you want to introduce yourself, tell the audience what sports you play and what positions you play.
Yeah. My name is Keon Nixon. I play football and I run track. I play at Dakota and I play cornerback.
Okay, first we're going to jump into the fun questions that I enjoy asking the guests. There's been a lot of funny answers on it, so we'll see if you have any. If you don't, it's fine. But what's your favorite food?
Not gonna lie, I might have to go with pizza. Pizza's top 5 easily. It has to be my favorite. That or spaghetti. Those two are my favorite.
What's your favorite type of pizza?
Usually I like to get the sausage on it. That's my thing right there. That's that and pepperoni. You can never go wrong with the meat.
Yeah, sausage is the way to go, especially at there's the ones where they cook it in the big rock. The sausage. Oh, it's so good. Do you have a favorite class at school?
World history was all my thing. I love history. That's my thing for sure. I always had good teachers, so it always made it good. One of my history teachers, was a football coach when I played at Lance Cruz. He was me and him talked a lot of football, usually every day. So that made the class better. And plus, I love history, going back and learning things from a long time ago. It's very interesting.
That's awesome. Is there a reason, is there a certain topic in history, or do you just like learning about the past?
Not any certain topic. It's just, I like knowing what has happened in the past and how we can kind of change it going into the future and stuff like that. Just interesting to know what has happened in the past.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm not gonna lie, it might be Michael Myers, because I grew up watching Michael Myers all the time. That was my favorite movie.
Like the Halloween series?
Yeah, it was my favorite, not gonna lie.
Horror is not my forte. I'm rewatching the Stranger Things, or by rewatching, I mean, I'm watching it for the first time. And it's I get jump scared so easy. And then when I watch it and then everything jump scares me, the other day I just finished up watching it and I went outside just to lock my car. And then I came back inside. My sister just scared me and I freaked out. Then woke up my parents. So that that happened. Do you have a favorite song or musical artist?
Not anybody in particular. Of course, I'll probably say Lil Baby. Everyone loves Lil Baby right now, but he's probably the most I listen to at the moment.
Favorite video game?
I haven't played in a while, but it's always been Call of Duty. Call of Duty has been my thing since I was in elementary school. So that's definitely my game.
What specific game did you play?
So I started off when I was playing games, I pretty much bought every single Call of Duty that came out. But I think Modern Warfare 2 was the best one, easily.
I'm not familiar with the Call of Duty series, but I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there will be.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite holiday?
Definitely, I mean, Christmas, easily. I mean, who doesn't like Christmas? But
yeah. Do you do anything fun for Christmas, with family or?
We usually all just get together, make food, just talk. Pretty much, that's about it.
That's really fun. Yeah, Christmas is a fun holiday. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Definitely. See, for the past few years, I've always said California, because I've been there a few times, and I love California. I've been all around the world, and California has always been my favorite place. But the last time I went, I really paid attention to how much the traffic is, man. And I'm
LA traffic.
It might be, I might have to put Arizona or California, definitely.
You mentioned you travel a lot. What are some of the bigger trips you've went on?
I've been to Dubai, China, Amsterdam, Venice, Italy. That might be it. I've been somewhere else. Think of it right now.
Just family vacations, or is there a reason you've gone on those?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then what are some of your hobbies outside of sports?
So I'm a big car guy. I love cars. Any type of muscle car is my thing. I love muscle cars. I do own a clothing brand outside of football, so I'll work on that a lot. So basically my brand and cars, those are my two hobbies outside of football pretty much.
What's your clothing brand called?
It's Misunderstood. So it's Misunderstood streetwear. I pretty much produce hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, stuff like that. And it's been going really well for me since I've opened it up about 3 months ago.
That's really cool. Is it at all football related, or were you just like, I gotta start a?
More of the meaning is more football related, because being misunderstood can go so many different ways on how you think about it. But I kind of connected it when I came up with it. I connected it to my football story. So that's really what it means to me.
So we're gonna jump into that football story right now. So you mentioned you play football and track, you play cornerback. So how long have you played football and track?
So I started playing football in 7th grade. Track, I think I ran track 7th and 8th grade. I'm not sure. But I started football because, middle school, everyone's starting to play it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll try it. Because I played soccer for like 8 years. So I played soccer pretty much my whole life until I got to middle school. And played soccer. And then all my friends were like, well, we want you to play football. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll play. And then 7th grade year, we were like really good. And I was always fast. So it made like competition look so much worse because I was just faster than everybody. And we had like a squad, like we were all super fast. So we went 6-0 in middle school, and like we loved it. And we played the next year, had so much fun. Like it just made me fall in love with the game. And this is when I played offense. So I didn't even play defense at this time. And I started playing defense my 8th grade year. I played linebacker and safety. That's when I was kind of bigger than everybody. Not anymore.
I hear you. So, what middle school did you go to? Because you're a Lance Cruz district, right?
Yeah, I was Lance Cruz Middle School South.
So that's how that works. I'm not familiar with that.
They have a South, Central, and the East for middle school. And
okay.
So basically, pretty much everyone that goes to South and goes to Central goes to like Lance Cruz High School, the Central, and then everyone that goes to East goes to North.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then have you always played, you mentioned you played running linebacker and safety. When did you like make the switch to only playing corner?
So I really started playing corner my sophomore year. So my freshman year, I played pretty much running back and I played safety. So I kind of played like nickel, if you know what the nickel position. Kind of played that. Yeah. So I kind of played in the slot as a freshman. So more of a safety. I was pretty much a safety, but I was more of a hitter. So I always played that position. But then once you get to varsity, I wasn't that big. So kind of transitioned into corner. I had the footwork and stuff, and I was training for corner pretty much my whole freshman summer.
Mm-hmm. Did you play both sides of the ball on varsity at Lance Cruz, or did you not play varsity there?
So I started on varsity as a sophomore, started playing corner. So I didn't start playing offense until junior year. I didn't play much of it. I just played like certain packages because our coach didn't really like people playing both ways. Mm-hmm. So I played a little bit of slot receiver. That was about it though.
When did you transfer from Lance Cruz to Dakota?
So I transferred, I think it was January of my junior year. So after my junior season, a few months after the season.
Why'd you transfer?
So I had moved like way closer to Dakota. Like I'm literally like less than 5 minutes away. And it was just like, it was closer for me. I didn't really have a car at the time. So
okay, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What was the difference in competition from playing in Dakota or playing Lance Cruz, which was Mac Blue, which is what my school, Fraser, that's the division we're in. What's the difference between that and Mac Red?
It's complete difference. Like, honestly, I didn't think, like, when I was at Lance Cruz, like, we would all talk junk, like, Dakota, Chippewa, like, if we played them, we will bust them, like, we will win, like, all the time. So it's like way different. So in the Mac Blue, you're talking about more of like the smaller schools. So they don't really have, these schools aren't more sports oriented, you could say, like more like Lance Cruz, Fraser, etc. They focus more on like academics, more like band, stuff like that. Like I know Lance Cruz band, like that's what they put their money into.
Yeah, that's what Fraser's like an arts fine arts school.
So when you talk about Dakota and you talk about the Mac Red, these programs put all of their money into their football, basketball, track. Like this is what they put their money into. So like you have the bigger facilities, you have like you have the computers, like you have the like what we had on our sidelines was like the tents, and we had the TV in there where you could watch the film before every play, or like after every play you could watch what happened before.
Really?
So we would literally be in halftime, like sitting in the tent and watching the whole first and second quarter. Like we would just watch the whole thing over and over, and we would just critique everything that we did. So that was like way different. And of course, there's more kids, and I think just the way Mac Red schools work out and like train, I think it's just completely different than like how Mac Blue schools and stuff. Because you can see the difference when you play, when these schools play each other. Because when we played Roseville, like Roseville was 8-0, like they were winning every game by 40, 50 points.
Yeah.
And then they can't complete a pass. So it's like, it's a different ball game, 100%. Like it's, I don't even know how you can really compare. Like we just have bigger kids, better facilities. Like it's just different.
So what was you mentioned the training was different. Like what exactly about the training was different from the different schools?
So when I was at Lance Cruz, it's like 3 hours, maybe 3 hours, 2 hours practices. You're talking about Dakota, you're talking about 5-6 hours maybe. Right. Like not all just outside. Like we're watching film, we're like position meetings. Like it's like Dakota is like a college football program. It's pretty much everything you do in college. We kind of run the same things that college people do. Like it's a different thing. So it's like everyone's bought into.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell like when you're at the smaller schools or Lance Cruz and stuff, like people aren't really bought in. People are just playing to play. At Dakota, you're like, everyone wants to play college football. Like this is what we want to do. Like we want to go to college for football. This is what we want to do. Mm-hmm. So you can tell everyone's bought in. Like everyone wants to get better. And the training, like in the weight room, like I feel like that was the biggest difference for me from going to Lance Cruz to Dakota. The weight room process at Lance Cruz, like I was kind of like the biggest lifter. Like I lifted the most out of everybody, and that's horrible. You're a corner and you're talking about a bunch of linemen and a bunch of running backs and stuff. Like so I get to Dakota and like everyone's like squatting 400, 500, deadlifting 400, 500, benching 225 for like 10 reps. Like it's different.
So you think that helped prepare you for the college level? Do you think the transition is probably easier from Mac Red to?
Easily. Even when I went on, so when I go on visits or when I did go on visits, pretty much everything that we ran at Dakota is what I'm going to be running in college and what a lot of other colleges run. Mm-hmm. So like I'm in position meetings talking with head coaches and like position coaches, and they're like asking me if I know this, and I'm like, yeah, I ran this like my whole senior year. Like, what you're talking about right now. So like it definitely prepares you, and especially with the competition level, like you're playing against collegiate athletes every week.
Yeah.
And I had tough matchups like every week. Like I think I had like maybe 1 or 2 games where I wasn't playing somebody that was like super good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had Cephas Harris on the show a couple weeks ago, but he's another Mac Red athlete. He goes to Chippewa. So, which I believe you guys are rivals, right? Chippewa and Dakota. Yeah. So I have friends that go to both schools, But what was the game that you had the most fun in this year?
Oh, I had two games I really had a lot of fun in. So Lance Cruz North was a super fun game, which it wasn't even fair, but it was just fun. Lance Cruz North was always my rival, like always, because I went to Lance Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
But the crazy part is, so my junior year, my defensive coordinator, my junior year at Lance Cruz, he became the head coach at LCN the year that I left. So I got to play junior year, and he took most like all my defensive coaches that were my coaches my junior year all went to LCN too. So playing it was just super fun, and we were just talking trash back and forth because they knew they wouldn't like beat Dakota, but like so like we were just like laughing, cracking jokes like the whole game because I mean some people have to be real with each other, like you know.
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. We played Stevenson in the playoffs. It was like the first time Frazier's been in the playoffs back-to-back years, and we just got like steamrolled by Stevenson. It's like they had two guys going to Central Michigan. It's like we were the warm-ups. We were like, okay, let's do this. We got to catch them by surprise. Got to tackle their legs. Then they just like ran over us. Like I played on the punt team, and they had a defensive lineman because I was playing like the guard position on it. So I was like, with other schools like Cusno, for example, it's like their guards my size. Like, but then we played them, and it's like my friend Donovan goes there, and then he just steamrolled me, and that was something. But yeah, the competition gap, you don't realize how big it is until you play a team like Stevenson or a team like Dakota, and it's
ridiculous. Yeah, we played Stevenson. That's who we lost to in regionals last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went far. They went to what, final 8, I think, or maybe even final 4.
They beat us and lost the next round to Belleville.
Didn't Belleville win it all?
Yeah,
if I'm correct. Yeah. Don't they have like a freshman quarterback? Like,
he's like
school. Yeah, he's going to like, who's it? Bryce Underwood is his name.
Yeah,
he's going just visits to like Alabama and USC. And it's like he's a freshman. Makes me feel like I gotta catch up on the slack, you know. There's like 7th graders getting D1 offers, and it's like, well, so I play defensive tackle, which I'm 5'5" and 170, which like I just started football. I kind of like you, I played soccer my whole life, and I've always wanted to play football, but because of concussions, I couldn't. But so my first position, like I played defensive tackle, and it's like I would just kind of sneak through because a lot of the guards are just big and slow. So it's like I would just sneak through, but it's like I didn't even play versus Stevenson. They had Anthony Merlot, who's actually going to be your teammate.
Yeah.
So he ended up going in at defensive tackle. He played both ways in that game, but it's just that was not fun. Yeah. So you mentioned training, like what for cornerbacks, what's some specific training you'd recommend to people trying to get better at playing corner?
So I would always recommend getting a personal trainer, of course, pretty much for any position. I train with my trainer, Amari Coleman. He played corner at Central Michigan, and he played for Tampa Bay and the Lions. So he's my trainer. He comes down here and trains me pretty much 3 times a week. He was my trainer my junior year and going into now. So pretty much doing everything alone is cool. Like you're still putting in work, but you don't have anyone critiquing you on what you're doing. So you're just doing stuff, but you don't really know if you're doing it the correct way and etc. So I don't really like doing my position stuff by myself because I feel like if I'm doing this wrong, then I'm wasting my time kind of.
Yeah. It's good to have feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like to condition by myself, lift. I don't like to lift by myself because I used to lift heavy, so I never like lifting alone. But now I kind of lift alone because I can't really do much because of my shoulder at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I just do lightweight heavy reps. I mean, not heavy reps. What is it? Lightweight heavy rep. No, lightweight.
Lightweight more reps. I don't think it would be. There you go. Lightweight, but with added weight on top of it, so it's all heavy. But does he have a business that he does it through, or is he just just a contract? Or
he has a you can contact him on Instagram. It's called Godspeed Training, His Instagram is also AMC _7. So he trains pretty much everywhere. He goes everywhere. West Bloomfield, Flint, down here in Macomb. Like, he'll drive. It doesn't really matter. He always comes down for me. He's always been super helpful for me. He kind of prepared me. So my sophomore year when I started on varsity, kind of had a confidence problem. I wasn't really confident in my game. And I kind of in my sophomore year. And it kind of made me lose confidence. I didn't really want to play anymore, actually, after my sophomore year, because I think my eighth game. So I pretty much started the whole year. I think I got benched the last game. The last two games, they moved me to safety against Sterling Heights. And we had got a transfer, and he was playing really good, etc. So I had got benched, and they kind of made me lose. Like, I lost all my confidence. I'm like, okay. Like, I was a sophomore starting on varsity. Like, I had a bunch of college looks at the time. I was a big camp guy, etc. So kind of went through that season, lost confidence. Then I got back to my junior year. That whole summer I pretty much trained like 3 times a day. I really didn't have any breaks. Lifted 24/7, put on weight. And I came back my junior year. I'm like, okay, well, like, this is what it comes down to. Like, this is when everyone gets offers. Like, junior year is when you start getting your collegiate offers.
Yeah.
So that year is when I really took off. Like, I had a great year. But I didn't have a DB coach my sophomore year. So that kind of screwed me over a little bit. Yeah. So my DB coach was my wide receiver coach, and he didn't even play DB. So
he was just teaching you how to play DB like Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah. Like, I was just out there playing. I didn't really going on. Like, I wasn't peaked at all. Mm-hmm. So my year, I hired a DB coach for me. His name was JR, and he was the defensive coordinator at LCN last year. He had to step down because of work, but he helped me a lot. Like, I was training with him in the offseason, etc. I give him a lot of credit for, like, me being the player I am right now. He helped me understand coverages and etc. And I feel like that's a big part of the game too, that people kind of undermine. People undermine the like the mindset part of it.
Yeah.
The more you know, the easier the game comes to you. So you can train all you want, but if you're not understanding coverages and what a team is going to run or what a team's about to run, you're just going to be out there just hoping that they run something.
Yeah.
So you really understand.
Going in blind, yeah.
Yeah. So you're going in blind. And I was always a big film guy. Like, I studied film a lot, which made me so much better. Like, I was always fast, but I've never been huge. Like, I've always been less than 160 pounds, like, always.
Yeah.
Always. So just knowing the game and being fast kind of just helped me a lot.
That's cool. So we're going to work into the recruiting side of things. So you mentioned that you started going to camps, after sophomore year, you said?
So I was going to camps my freshman year, actually. After my freshman year, I started going to camps then. And I've been going to camps ever since. Pretty much camp, huge part, definitely.
What was the first camp you went to?
I think it was a Michigan State camp, which I regret going to at the time, because going to the bigger schools when you're first starting out is, unless you're like huge, kind of a waste of time. Like, pointless.
So what was like your favorite camp you went to, or a camp you'd recommend that people would go to?
I definitely recommend for Macomb kids the 5A6 showcase. It's ran by Tyler Conklin and Sean Koski, and also my trainer Amari. So they basically run it. They have it every year. They just had it, I think, a week or two ago. It gets a lot of kids exposure in Macomb. They have a bunch of college coaches there, reporters, videotaping, accurate numbers. They do a lot for Macomb, especially Tyler. Tyler goes out of his way to do a lot for us over here. So we appreciate him, definitely. That one, definitely I don't know if they had it here this year, but the Ferris State showcase, where they have like 100.
I've heard that one's good.
Yeah, 100+ coaches. That one's really good. I got a few offers at that one. I got a lot of my D2 offers at that camp. So Yeah, those two are really the most I recommend. Of course, like the Rising Stars camps, Sound Mind, Sound Body camps. Those ones are always good.
Mm-hmm. What was the first offer you received from a college, and what exactly does that look like? Does it look like a roster spot or scholarship? Or
So my first offer was Northwood. It was a scholarship. It was at their camp, actually. I went to the camp, showed out pretty much. They pulled me after the camp, pulled me over to them with the DB coach, offensive coordinator, and the head coach. So they pulled me over and just told me, like, we really loved you a lot. Like, you're the best corner in, like, the Macomb area. So we really want you. So I'm like, okay, blah, blah, blah. They said they were going to offer me a scholarship. And I'm like, I'm happy. Like,
yeah.
A lot of my friends from Lance Cruz were there too. And they're all, hyped with me. Like,
oh, that's great.
It was a great feeling just because I worked a lot, like, to get where I'm at right now and where I was at that time. Like, I put a lot of work in. So yeah, it was a great feeling, definitely.
That's awesome. So just for the audience, if you want to say it, what are some of the other offers or some of the big offers you got before you committed to Northern Michigan?
So originally I had committed to Akron. It was on a preferred walk-on. It was because they told me it was between me and some other kid for basically the scholarship part at my position because they wanted me to play nickel. So I'm like, this was like my only D1 at the time, and this was like beginning of my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, I know I can go in Akron and play. Like, Akron was kind of like the worst in the MAC at the time.
Yeah.
I can go in Akron and like compete and get a scholarship. Like, I felt that was what I was comfortable with, and I was okay. So committed to Akron. Then the day that we played Chippewa Valley, I don't know if you know who Tyrone Wheatley is, but he was the head coach at Morgan State at the time. He was like, he played in the NFL. He was the head coach, and me and him were going back and forth texting for a while. And the day of Chippewa Valley, he calls Coach Bauer, which was my head coach at Dakota, and he tells him, like, yeah, we want to offer him a full scholarship. So basically full ride. And I'm like, who passes up on a full ride? I mean, like, come on. And I'm playing Division I in FCS. So it's like, okay, this is perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
So about a week goes by. So I decommit from Akron like a few days later. Then I committed to Morgan maybe a week or two later. Stayed with Morgan for about 8-9 months. I was with them for a while. Then I eventually signed. But before I signed, I had got a few preferred walk-ons, like for some big schools like Western Michigan, Michigan State, Bowling Green, schools like that, which because of COVID, not a lot of people had scholarships. So they were giving preferred walk-ons out to like people they wanted, didn't have the money. Yeah. So I had a few of those, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, full ride is a full ride. Like, can't pass.
At what point did Michigan State offer you?
I think they offered me maybe like 2 weeks before signing day.
Was that with Mel Tucker as the coach? Like, is that in the timeline?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you end up talking to him, or did you talk to?
Yeah, I talked to him actually. Michigan State was my dream school. So it's always been my favorite school. I love Michigan State. So
good. Go green.
Feeling. Yeah, it was a go green, of course. But it was the DB coach that ended up offering me. Me and him were going back and forth for a while. But I just knew. I kind of did a little trolling on Twitter.
Yeah,
me and Tyrell Henry, if you know Tyrell, me and him were really close. We're still close. So me and him were like pictures and post like go green and stuff, like a little troll.
That's funny.
Yeah. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's still like it shows the talent that you have just even to get a roster spot on a school like that. Because especially with Mel Tucker as the coach, like they've really cracked down on recruitment.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's fun to watch, especially as a State fan.
Like,
because like we've always seen like Michigan get the bigger recruits and then State just beats them because Mark D'Antonio knows how to coach.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see Tucker because he's going up like it was just this weekend. There's like a visit or something, and like Alabama's trying to poach one of our commits, and we're trying to poach like I think Elliott Washington's his name. He's a cornerback commit for Bama. So it's like it's going back and forth, but it's cool. Just this like we've never had that before. So
Yeah.
Tucker's doing a great job. But yeah, it's great that you got offered. So trying to work like working into the Morgan State topic, like why'd you end up not signing on there? And
so I did end up signing for early signing day.
oh, okay.
So pretty much the head coach that recruited me, Tyrone Wheatley, ended up leaving to coach for the Broncos. So he ended up leaving, and then the defensive line coach ended up becoming interim head coach. So he called me one day, and I'm just in school, so like I'm not thinking of anything of it. I didn't have his number saved because I haven't talked to him. Like I was always talking to my position coach, or Coach Wheatley. Mm-hmm. So he called. And, this is I had got surgery in April, so yeah. I think this is like a few weeks after I get surgery. Calls me, asks me how I'm doing, etc. And then he's like, well, we kind of want you to gray shirt so we can have the roster spot this year. So we want you to come in January, like your scholarship is still guaranteed, etc. This and that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if everything holds true, like that's fine. Like I'm cool with that. Like I wouldn't mind because I'm not supposed to be cleared until October. So
yeah,
like I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like just I would have to be fully healed and lifting and putting on weight, etc. So I don't really have a problem with it at the time, but I kind of had a feeling like something would go rogue a little bit.
Yeah.
So a few months go by. Let me say like less than a month ago, new head coach gets hired. So I reach out to the coach, and he says he will call me, never ends up calling me. So I have my coach call him, and basically, pretty much he's saying like they didn't tell me that if I come in January, my scholarship voids because technically if I signed in the early signing period or something like that, it voids the next signing period or something like that.
Really?
So they ended up telling me like I would have had to like up and leave in like 1 or 2 weeks to come to school and have my scholarship guaranteed. So I'm like, I'm not just about to up and leave like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And
yeah.
I kind of didn't feel comfortable going somewhere with a bunch of new people anyway. So,
yeah.
The people that recruited me left. So it's like, so I ended up reopening my recruitment, got out of my NLI. And as soon as I opened my recruitment, like my phone was blowing up. So texting me, it was ridiculous. I couldn't even keep up with it. But Northern was one of my first offers, like originally. So that was a school I always wanted to go to. I love the coaches. The coaching staff were always super cool, super nice. So I know I was a fit there. A lot of the players are super cool. Like I don't know, you probably don't know him, but Cade Manzo, he played at Lake Orion 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year. Played there. He was a safety commit for them, and he's always been like one of my super tight guys that I always talk to.
Oh, that's cool.
He's come get me to go there, and we have a teammate. One of my teammates from Dakota is going there also. Riley Smaller's old lineman. So it's just a bunch of guys that I feel comfortable being around, and like a bunch of guys that like I know have my back regardless.
Yeah, it's good to have that support, especially going into a school as far away as Northern. Like Northern's in like what, Marquette? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's also their starting corner. I've been in contact with him since maybe like last year. Me and him have always been going back and forth. And when I went on my official visit, he was with me pretty much the whole time. And I think it'll be perfect for me to learn under him his last year, and then go into there and just handle business.
Yeah.
So the coaches have always been on my side since literally when they first offered me last year. When I committed to Morgan, I was still like looking around just to make sure like if this is really when I wanted to go where I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. So Northern was always there, like always telling me if I needed a home, like that's like they wanted me. Like they always treated me like I was one of their priority players. like that really want it. So that was really big for me. I think the biggest thing in my recruitment process, like that's always the feeling that I wanted, like some school that wanted me to be there, like they really wanted and needed me to be there. So that school is like the school that has always been that way for me. So that's pretty much the thing. Like they've always been there.
Yeah. So what are some of the long-term goals you have for college and potentially beyond?
Yeah. So of course, graduate. I mean, like everyone says that, but graduating is a huge part because not everyone that goes to college and plays football graduates. Like some people just go and maybe play for a year and say this is not for them. Of course, graduating, I want to be all GLIAC, of course, like first team easily. That's always been one of my goals every year I play. It's a step up from where I was before. So sophomore year, I didn't make anything. So junior year, I said I need to be all league, all this, all that. Like I needed to be that. So senior year, I said I wanted to be all state. They snubbed me, but still got honorable mention.
Hey, honorable mention. That's more than a lot of people got.
Yeah.
So, hey.
So all GLIAC, definitely.
Do you see yourself, do you want to play in the NFL, or is that like a long-term goal you have, or what like major are you going to be in like for
it's not really been a long-term goal. I always said it's something that if it comes, it comes. Like I'm always going to put the work in, but I'll never say like I'm doing all this to make the NFL. Like I'm doing this to, like, this is what I love to do. I love football. Like, I love training. Like training is just I can't be average. Like I can't be average in anything I do. I hate it. Like being average is horrible to me. Like, like I have to be great at everything I do. Like there's nothing, any sport, like I've always had to be super good. So
it's a great mindset to have.
Yeah. So even in anything like work, business, like I have to be great at whatever it is. And so that's never really been the long-term goal. It's really more like free school. That was my long-term goal forever.
Yeah, that's a great goal to have, and it's a great goal that you got. So what are like when you're being recruited and now that you are committed and now signed on, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So like do you talk to other players and try to recruit them to the school, or did other players talk to you and try to recruit them? Or?
So when I was at Morgan, I did a lot of recruiting for Morgan, actually. Like, I've always been one of those guys that's like, if I'm going, like, I want everybody to come with me. Like, if you got an offer here, like, come on, like, let's get the band, let's get it rolling. So, Morgan, I reached out to a lot of people that had Morgan offers. You know, I'm telling them like, come on, like we're about to change this, like, come join. So, I did a lot of that for Morgan. I just started doing it for Northern ever since I committed. I've been DMing people like, come on. I've been sending the coaches film of some guys that I know that don't have any offers yet that should. Sent them a few Lance Cruz players that I know that are like dogs that they just go to a school that's not really doing much. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna do a lot of that for Northern for sure.
Do you have any advice for high school players as they try to play at the next level, like in the recruitment process or training or anything that you'd like to say to them?
Yeah. Go out of your way to get in front of these coaches. So your head coach at high school is not going to do everything for you. He can only do so much. So what I did my whole high school career, I sent out at least like 20, 30 emails a day. You probably won't get any of them to respond, but if you keep doing it, like they're going to see your name. And as long as they remember your name, that's kind of the most important thing. Because once you see them at a camp and then you're like, okay, my name's this, they're going to be like, oh, so you're the kid that emailed me and this and that. Constant Twitter DMs, like it may get annoying. It may seem annoying. Like people aren't responding and etc. But it's definitely worth it. Like that was a big thing for Morgan. When I got Morgan, I had reached out to Wheatley like constantly, like throughout my whole freshman, sophomore, junior. And he even told me, he's like, I watched you grow from like being a freshman into like a junior going into your year. Like I watched your whole process. Like we didn't want to offer you then because you weren't the player we wanted then, but now you've put so much work in, and I've watched how you've grown each year to year. Like, you're the player we want now. So, like, they watch everything. Like, they may seem like they don't, but they watch. And especially camps, working out at camps, like, just go hard. Like, you might not have to be the best, most technique, etc. But like, if you're going hard and you're trying, like, they love effort. So if you're putting effort in, they're gonna notice you, no matter how good you're doing in the drill at all. So definitely that. Be a personable person. You know what I mean? If you can hold a conversation with a coach, like, that's really important. You can't just be a guy that's like, hey, my name's this and that. Like, I'll play this and that. Like, you got to be like, what's going on with my family? What's going on with your family? Have full conversation. Like, nobody wants a dull kid.
Yeah.
So got to be personable, definitely. And just train, man. Train. That's pretty much all it comes down to. So you got to be better than your competition. And it's not really that hard if you train as much as you really want to, because not a lot of high school kids do that. Like, not a lot of high school kids want to wake up at 5 and 6 in the morning and go lift or go work out. And nobody wants to pay $100, $200 to go train with a trainer or a personal trainer. Like, not a lot of people want to do that. But the people that do that, you end up going to college. So, I mean, if you want to go to college, that's what you
yeah.
do.
Yeah, some great advice. So now we're going to look back on your high school career, all the success you've had. So you ran track and played football at Dakota. You had a 10.77 indoor 100-meter dash. You said that was your junior year too, because you didn't run it this year?
Yeah.
It's insane. That's very fast. So you had 51 tackles, 9 pass breakups, 1 interception and 3 sacks and 4 fumbles. And then you said, like, you led the state in breakups, all while playing in the MAC Red.
Yeah.
So you had a high competition and you delivered.
Yeah.
So that's great. But so who would you say has been the most talented player or hardest player to guard that you've played against?
I've told everybody this, and I've played against 4-star, 5-star receivers, 7-on-7, in-game, etc. The toughest player that I've ever guarded is Maddox Altamirano from Chippewa Valley. No harder receiver. And he's going to play Division I at Butler, I'm pretty sure. And the kid's a monster, I'm not gonna lie. And he's one of my guys too. We used to play basketball together. Like, I've played against all the 4-star, 5-star receivers. He's long, tall, fast. So you put all those together at receiver, it's different. So he was definitely my hardest matchup. And when I played Chippewa Valley, that was probably my worst game I played, like, since my sophomore year. And he gave me a run for my money, not gonna lie. He only had 1 catch, but that 1 catch was a run for my money. So yeah, he's definitely a beast. I give him his props. I always give good receivers their props regardless. And I don't really give good receivers their props because they never do anything against me. So that's the one kid that I said that
definitely. That's funny.
And if you know Tayshawn Trent from he was supposed to go to Michigan. He's going to Youngstown now, played at East Point, and then ended up transferring to Harper Woods. He was second toughest matchup. That was my sophomore year though, so I wasn't really that good. Me and him know what happens if we play again now. But him definitely. So but definitely it. Definitely.
That's great. And then who would you say is, I've gotten a lot of why you make me answer this question, but who is the most talented player you have played with?
Caden Sloan, easily. Best player I've ever seen in high school. No one different. He's a monster. I've never seen a kid get 56 carries in a game and run for 500 yards, and we had 30 passing yards and still almost won the game. He put Dakota on his back multiple times. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anyone do it before. Like, when you talk about running someone into the ground to win a game, he did it. He did it for us. Like, and he had no issue doing it. Like, it was insane. Like, I'm telling you, I think he ran for 300, 400 a game, like, every game.
That's a lot. Wow.
And he played quarterback for us when we played 7-on-7. He could play quarterback. He played quarterback. He played slot receiver. We could put him in the slot. He played every position. He's a monster, man. I give him props every time I see him.
That's great. Is he a senior this year? Or?
Yeah.
Is he doing anything with football or?
No. No. So he had a lot of nagging injuries, and he was like, I just want to, chill, make money. He's going to Northwood just for business.
That's a good business school. So
Yeah.
that's a great one. I never asked you this. What are you planning on majoring in?
Business, actually. So that was always a big thing for me. Of course, owning my own business. So business marketing, stuff like that. Those are my like big things. Northwood was always one of my top schools just because it's like a huge business school.
Mm-hmm.
So they've always been in my top 3 pretty much because I mean that's really what I want to go into.
Okay. So you mentioned that you tore your labrum when your shoulder, correct? So what's some advice you'd have for players going through injuries like that? Like what's some advice to stay like good mentally or
well, obviously you're gonna have your times where you're like you just want to give up, like you're hurt, like this might be it, especially if you don't have any scholarships or etc. Like it can be horrible. Mentally I would just say like think of the best. You can always like it's a lot of stuff you can do to keep yourself in shape, especially me. Like I couldn't run for a while, but I started just treadmill, like just leg press, stuff like that, just to keep myself like busy. I would say find a hobby that you really love to do just to keep you on track, because you can fall into a depression easily with injuries. It's like when you've been playing your whole life and you get injured and now you're out from the game for months. It's tough. Like it was really tough for me because like this is what I've done for the past like 6-7 years. So really being away from the game, being away from lifting, because I was a big lifter, and it's really sucked. And I've been hurt since August, and it's been really tough. But you just gotta strong mentally.
August isn't last August. So did you play through it then?
Yeah, I played my whole senior year.
Wow, that's impressive playing through that. I had a sprained shoulder. I could barely lift my arm up. You have a torn labrum. You're like, but
yeah,
that's crazy. Wow. And then what keeps you motivated?
My mom, easily. My mom works 2 jobs. She gets up at 6 a.m, works until 4 o'clock, goes back to work at 5 o'clock, and gets home at about 10. So when you're talking about having a reason, having a why, that's my why. If she can wake up at 5 a.m. and go to work, I can wake up at 4 a.m. and go work out. So it's like everybody has to have their why, and if you don't have a why, you'll never be successful. That's just always been my reason. She always has been. So I love her to death.
That's amazing, man. Well, you're doing a great job, and like best of luck to you in your career. And I know you're going to be successful based off of just what you've done. So is there anyone you want to shout out or thank?
Thank my mom, of course. Thank my coaches at Dakota. Love my coaches at Dakota. Those have always been like a family to me. They transferred, took me in, and treated me just like I was anybody else on the team. So definitely a great program, especially for middle school kids. Like if you're gonna go to a school like Dakota, like go to Dakota. Go to Dakota. Like I wish I would have went as a middle schooler. So
yeah,
if you want to go to college and prepare for college, like Dakota is the school to go to. Like you're gonna get to college and you're gonna be like, well, this is the same thing I did. Like it's pretty same ball game. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
This is a great interview.
Of course. Loved it.
I would like to thank Keon for coming on to today's show. He is a very talented athlete and a very knowledgeable person. He had some amazing advice, and I have his socials linked in the bio. Make sure to show him some love. I also want to thank everybody watching and listening. I really appreciate it. As always, my name is Calvin Custance, and this is The Blueprint.